Are you really going to drag the same habits, excuses, and unfinished plans into another year? If the answer is no, then this book is your wake-up call. It's not about setting goals, it's about clearing space, closing loops, and stepping into 2026 with purpose. No fluff. Just 10 things to do now, so the next year doesn't feel like the last. Introduction. Why the final days of the year matter more than you think. The final days before a new year are not just a countdown, they're a mirror. They reflect who we've been and hint at who we could become. In the noise of holiday sales, year-end reviews, and endless distractions, most people coast into a new year with vague hopes and recycled resolutions. But you're not most people. If you've picked up this book, it's because you want to do something different, something intentional. You want to end 2025 with clarity, not confusion, purpose, not panic, momentum, not regret. This is not another new year, new me checklist. It's a call to action, a practical guide, a personal audit, a reset switch. The next 10 chapters are built around 10 transformative moves that, if implemented before 2026 begins, will redefine your trajectory. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Review the year with ruthless honesty. Before you make bold declarations about what you'll do in 2026, before you start dreaming, planning, or posting goals online, you need to pause. Not for hype, not for hustle, but for honest reflection. We live in a world obsessed with next idea, next version, next goal. But true growth never begins with what's next. It begins with what was. What actually happened in the last 12 months? What did you say you'd do, and did you follow through? Sit down with a notebook or even a blank document and create space to examine your year. Not the highlight reel, not the Instagram version, the real thing, the raw footage. What goals did you set back in January? Were they clear or vague? Did you write them down, or were they floating somewhere in your mind, loosely based on what everyone else was doing? Now ask yourself, which ones did you accomplish? And equally important, which ones did you abandon? Don't get defensive, don't justify, just observe. Maybe you wanted to get in shape. Did you stick to a routine for longer than 2 weeks? Did you make progress in strength, stamina, or diet? Or did you fall off every time life got busy? Maybe you said you'd save money. Did your bank balance grow? Or did you find yourself in the same pattern of spending and stressing? Maybe you committed to healing, to building better relationships, to making peace with yourself. Did you have those hard conversations? Did you show up differently? Or did you avoid the mirror and numb yourself with distractions? Here's the truth most people avoid. Reflection is not judgment, it's data. You're not doing this to shame yourself. You're doing it to understand yourself, your habits, your patterns, your truth. And clarity only comes through courageous self-inquiry. Ask yourself questions like, what did I waste time on consistently? What did I avoid this year? Not because it was unimportant, but because it was uncomfortable. Where did I say yes when I should have said no? What habits cost me the most energy? What did I do that actually made me proud, not just in results, but in effort and intention? Now write it all down. Not for anyone else to see, just for you. This is your personal audit. The more honest you are, the more valuable it becomes. Most people skip this step because it feels awkward. It reveals gaps. And gaps are uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's where the gold is. Because when you tell the truth about your past, you gain power over your future. Think of it like cleaning out your closet at the end of the year. You wouldn't toss new clothes into a space that's cluttered with old, dusty items you no longer wear or need. You sort through. You toss. You fold. You make space. This process of reviewing the year is exactly that, a deep mental and emotional decluttering. And here's the thing, it's not just about what went wrong. You also need to acknowledge what went right. Where did you grow? Where did you show up better than last year? What tough decision did you make that changed your life, even if no one else saw it? Give yourself credit for that. Growth isn't always loud. Often, it's silent and personal moments when you chose progress over comfort, when you didn't give up, even when the results were slow, when you held your boundaries or opened your heart. Celebrate those too, they matter. So take this time, no distractions, no social media breaks, just you, your memory, and your truth. Reflect on your habits. What became automatic, and did those habits help or hinder you? Your focus. Did you spend most of the year reacting or creating? Your health. Did you treat your body like a partner or an afterthought? Your work. Were you driven by purpose or pressure? Your time. Were you intentional or impulsive? Your relationships. Did you love with depth or perform out of obligation? If you struggle to answer any of these, that's okay. Keep digging. This isn't a race, it's a reckoning. And every breakthrough starts with brutal honesty. Remember, this is not about being perfect. It's about being clear. Clarity is the beginning of freedom. Because once you know where you truly are, you can finally map out where you want to go and, more importantly, how to get there. So before you plan your 2026 goals, before you talk about reinvention or becoming your best self, do this first. Look back, honestly, quietly, intentionally, because the future belongs to those who learn from their past without becoming trapped by it. This chapter is the foundation of everything that follows. Take your time. Make it count. Chapter 2. Finish the unfinished. There's a quiet kind of chaos that follows us everywhere: unfinished projects, broken promises, half-started goals, unread messages, unresolved conversations. We carry these things like emotional baggage, and even if we don't always see them, we feel their weight. Not just mentally, but physically, emotionally, even spiritually. They drain our focus, sap our confidence, and create a constant background noise in our lives. Before 2026 begins, it's time to confront these open loops, not because they're urgent, but because they're unfinished. And unfinished business has a way of haunting us. We often avoid closure. We tell ourselves we'll get around to it later, that we'll finish that book, return that call, clean up that inbox, send that message, fix that broken thing in the house, repair that relationship, start that workout routine again. Soon. But here's the truth. Unfinished tasks aren't just tasks, they're energy leaks. Every incomplete commitment silently whispers to your subconscious, you failed, or you forgot, or you gave up. You may not hear those words clearly, but you feel them. That nagging stress, that subtle self-doubt, that resistance to setting new goals. It's often rooted in the past things you know you didn't complete and haven't fully released. So what's the solution? Simple. Finish what you can, release what you can't. Let's break it down. Start by making a list. A real written list. This is not about overloading yourself. It's about clearing the runway so 2026 has a clean place to land. Look around your life physically, emotionally, professionally. What's still open, pending, paused, or avoided? Here are some places to look. Personal goals you started but never followed through on. Emails or messages you've left hanging for weeks or months. Conversations you need to have to bring closure. Debts or financial issues you've been ignoring. Projects around your home or in your career that are halfway done. Apologies you owe are owed. Creative work you started but abandoned. Health habits you said you'd stick to tomorrow. Now, from that list, circle 3 things. Just 3. Don't try to fix everything. This isn't about volume, it's about intentional closure. Ask yourself, which of these would bring the most relief if it were resolved? Which has lingered the longest? Which one would make me feel proud just to complete? Pick 3 and commit to finishing them before the year ends. When you complete something, no matter how small, it sends a signal to your brain. I follow through. I can be trusted. That builds self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of discipline. Finishing also gives you momentum. When you close one loop, you free up bandwidth to take on the next thing with more focus and clarity. It's not about having everything perfectly done, it's about clearing friction and regaining control. Now, there's another category of unfinished business we have to talk about, the kind you may never finish. And that's okay too. Maybe there's something on your list that's been there for years, something you keep telling yourself you should finish, but deep down you don't even want it anymore. Maybe it's a business idea you've outgrown, a relationship you're still waiting to fix, a goal that belonged to a past version of you. In those cases, the brave choice is not to finish, it's to release. Not everything unfinished deserves your attention. Some things need to be let go of. If it no longer aligns with your values, your direction, your energy, cut the cord. Release it with intention. You don't need to finish everything to be free, but you do need to choose. So, here's the practice. 1. Make the list. 2. Choose what to complete. 3. Choose what to release. 4. Take action on both. Don't wait for January to feel clear and ready. Clarity doesn't show up by chance, it's built by closure. One final note. This chapter isn't about perfection. There will always be things left undone. That's life. But there's a difference between living in a world of conscious choices and living buried beneath accidental chaos. Choose which pieces you'll put back in order. Then, do the work, quietly, boldly, completely. Finish what needs to be finished. Close what needs to be closed. Forgive what needs to be forgiven. Say what needs to be said. You're not just clearing your calendar, you're clearing your conscience. And there's no better way to enter 2026 than with that kind of freedom. Chapter 3. Decide who you're bringing into the new year. Not everyone in your current life is meant to walk with you into the next chapter. That may sound harsh, but it's not about cruelty, it's about clarity. Every relationship you have, whether it's a close friendship, a romantic partner, a family tie, or even a casual connection, carries energy, and that energy is either fueling your growth or slowing you down, sometimes gently, sometimes silently, but always in one direction or the other. One of the most overlooked parts of preparing for a new year is evaluating your relational landscape. Not just who's around you, but what role they play in your life. Are they adding clarity or confusion? Momentum or resistance? Support or sabotage? Most people avoid this work. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it brings guilt. Because we think loyalty means keeping people around for even when the relationship no longer fits, no longer feeds us, or no longer serves either side. But here's a truth many of us learn the hard way. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can forgive someone and still walk away. You can be grateful for the role someone played in your story and still realize they don't belong in your next chapter. This chapter isn't about burning bridges. It's about choosing your emotional environment with intention. Let's break this down. Start by reflecting on the key people in your life. Not everyone you know, just the ones who consistently occupy your time, energy, and thoughts. Ask yourself, who do I feel more like myself around? Who do I feel I'm constantly performing for, shrinking for, or apologizing to? Who challenges me in a way that helps me grow? Who drains me, leaves me anxious, or brings unnecessary drama into my life? Who have I been holding on to out of guilt, fear, or nostalgia? Who makes my future feel bigger, not smaller? Answer these questions honestly, without judgment. You're not labeling people good or bad. You're identifying patterns, energy, vibes, alignment. Some people are anchors, not in the sense that they ground you, but that they hold you down. They keep you tethered to the past, to old habits, to small thinking. And no matter how hard you try to grow, that weight keeps you stuck. Others are mirrors. They reflect your potential. They believe in you, even when you don't. They hold you accountable not by criticizing you, but by expecting more from you. Being around them sharpens you. Here's the hard truth. You can't take everyone with you. Growth is lonely sometimes. You might walk into 2026 with fewer people but more peace. And that's a trade worth making. So what do you do with this clarity? First, decide who you want to move closer to in 2026. Who deserves more of your time, your attention, your presence? Who inspires you? Who do you admire not just for what they have, but for how they live, how they treat others, how they show up? Make a plan to nurture those relationships. Reach out, express gratitude, invest in connection, deepen trust. Next, identify who you need to create distance from. This doesn't always mean cutting people off. Sometimes it means setting boundaries, speaking up, redefining the dynamic. And yes, sometimes it does mean letting go. That could look like ending a toxic friendship that's been draining you for years, creating emotional distance from a family member who manipulates your time and choices, saying goodbye to a romantic relationship that's no longer rooted in mutual growth, stepping back from a social circle where you constantly feel unseen or unvalued. This is difficult, but here's a reframe. You're not rejecting them, you're choosing yourself. You're choosing your peace, your growth, your direction, and by doing so, you create the space to attract new connections, people who align with your next level. Because here's the beautiful thing. When you raise your standards, the right people start to appear, and the wrong ones tend to fall away on their own. Finally, take a look inward. What kind of person are you showing up as in your relationships? Are you the one draining others? Are you the one avoiding hard conversations? Are you supporting others only when it's convenient? Or are you being the kind of friend, partner, and family member you'd want in your own life? 2026 isn't just about who you bring with you. It's about who you're becoming in the process. The energy you give is just as important as the energy you allow. So make the decision now. Who will you intentionally walk forward with into the new year? And just as importantly, who will you lovingly release so that both of you can move on with more peace, more space, and more alignment? Because life's too short to carry dead weight, and it's too sacred to walk beside people who don't see your value or support your evolution. Decide now. Then step forward lighter, clearer, and ready for the year ahead. Chapter 4. Reclaim control of your time. If your life were a bank account, time would be your most valuable currency. And yet, it's the currency we spend the most carelessly. You can make more money, you can rebuild your health, you can recover lost confidence, restart relationships, and reignite dreams. But you can't get back time. Once it's gone forever. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are bleeding time and don't even realize it. We live in reactivity. We wake up and reach for our phones. We check emails before we've even checked in with ourselves. We scroll through other people's lives while neglecting our own. We say yes to things we don't care about, just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. We don't lose our days in big dramatic moments. We lose them in 1,000 tiny decisions. 10 minutes here, a half hour there, a quick reply, a mindless scroll, a pointless conversation. By the time the sun sets, we feel exhausted but not fulfilled. It's time to change that. Before you step into 2026, you need to reclaim ownership of your time, because if you don't control it, someone else will. Your calendar will be filled not by your priorities, but by your distractions, obligations, and everyone else's agenda. Let's get clear. Reclaiming your time doesn't mean rigidly scheduling every hour. It doesn't mean you stop resting or having fun. It means becoming intentional. It means recognizing that how you spend your time is how you spend your life. So, how do you take back control? You begin with awareness. For the next 7 days, do a time audit. Nothing fancy. Just observe how you're spending your hours. Use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or a time-tracking app, whatever works for you. Break your day into blocks and record where your attention goes. You might be surprised. You might realize how often you jump from task to task, how many hours you lose to social media, how little time you actually spend on the things that matter to you. Don't judge, just notice. Then ask yourself, what parts of my day feel aligned with my goals? Where do I consistently lose time to things that don't matter? What drains me? What fuels me? How often do I choose what to do versus reacting to what's happening around me? Once you have clarity, you can begin to restructure. Step 1. Protect your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Don't let the world in before you check in with yourself. Don't give your best energy to emails, to headlines, to notifications. Start with intention. Read, write, move, sit in silence, review your goals. Even 10-15 minutes of undistracted presence can change how you lead the rest of your day. Step 2. Identify your highest value tasks. What are the activities that move your life, work, or health forward in the most meaningful way? Maybe it's deep work. Maybe it's strategic thinking. Maybe it's connecting with your team or building a new skill. These are your core tasks, and they deserve protected time every single week. Don't leave them to chance. Schedule them like appointments. Show up to them with the same respect you'd give anyone else. Step 3. Set boundaries, real ones. Time freedom doesn't just come from better planning. It comes from better protecting. That means saying no more often. That means closing the laptop at a certain time. That means leaving unread messages for tomorrow if today is already full. You don't need to be available to everyone all the time. You don't need to answer every call. You don't need to justify your time to people who don't value it. You need to respect your life enough to be unavailable sometimes. Step 4. Create intentional downtime. Rest is not laziness, it's strategy, but only when it's done on purpose. Mindless numbing and intentional recovery are not the same thing. Plan your breaks. Make them sacred. Go for a walk without your phone. Spend time in nature. Read something that fills your soul, not just your brain. Spend time with people who energize you. Laugh. Breathe. Unplug. Rest is not the opposite of productivity, it's part of it. Step 5. Design your week before it begins. Every Sunday evening or whatever day works best for you, take 20 minutes to plan the week ahead. What are your 3 most important goals? When will you work on them? What non-essential tasks can you delay or delegate? What's your one big non-negotiable each day? This practice alone can transform your year. It removes chaos and installs clarity. Remember, you're not trying to do more. You're trying to do what matters with focus, with presence, with rhythm. Because here's the thing, no one tells you. You don't need more time, you need fewer distractions. You don't need to move faster, you need to move on purpose. And when you do that, when you start living your days with structure and space, intention and presence, everything changes. You feel lighter, sharper, clearer. You make better decisions. You show up differently. Your work improves. Your relationships deepen. You stop chasing time and start creating it. So before 2026 begins, reclaim your time, not by hustling harder, not by squeezing more in, but by designing your life around what matters most. Your time is your life. Spend it well. Chapter 5. Let go of one thing that's holding you back. If you want to rise in 2026, you cannot carry everything with you. Not every belief, not every habit, not every relationship, not every version of who you used to be. Sometimes, the most important part of preparing for the future isn't about what you need to gain, but what you need to release. Let's be honest, all of us are carrying something we shouldn't be, something that's weighing us down, something that might be invisible to everyone else, but you feel it. You've been dragging it through your days, maybe for months, maybe for years. It could be a limiting belief, something you picked up long ago that whispers, "You're not good enough. You always mess things up. It's too late for you." You might not even notice how often that voice shows up. But it's there, influencing your choices, controlling your confidence, shrinking your future without your permission. Or maybe it's a habit, something small you do every day that chips away at your time, your energy, or your focus. Maybe it's procrastination, doom scrolling, staying up late. Eating what you know makes you feel worse. Spending more than you can afford, comparing yourself endlessly to people online. Habits that comfort you in the moment but cost you your long-term peace. Or maybe it's resentment, a wound you've carried for too long. Something someone said, something they didn't do, something that still stings when you think about it. Maybe you haven't told anyone. Maybe you've told everyone. But either way, it still owns a piece of your mind. And as long as it lives there, it controls you more than the person who hurt you ever could. It could be shame from a past mistake, something you did or didn't do, a version of you that still echoes in the present. You want to move on, but a part of you believes you don't deserve to. Or it could be a person, someone who takes more than they give, someone who makes you doubt yourself, someone you know you've outgrown but can't seem to let go of. The point is this: you cannot walk into 2026 carrying dead weight. Not if you want to move with freedom. Not if you want to move with clarity. Not if you want to move forward. So here's the invitation and the challenge for this chapter. Let go of one thing that's holding you back. Just one. You don't have to fix your whole life in one night. You don't have to become someone new by January, honest, but you do need to release something that no longer belongs in the life you're building. Ask yourself, what am I still carrying that's not serving me? What fear or belief is quietly guiding my decisions? What behavior am I justifying even though I know it's hurting me? What pain am I still protecting? Who do I need to forgive, not for their sake, but for my own freedom? Be brutally honest. Don't overthink it. Your gut already knows. It's that one thing that rises up when everything else goes quiet. That thing you've avoided facing because you know the moment you do, things will have to change. Letting go is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's not giving up. Letting go is strength. It's power. It's freedom. You're not erasing the past. You're releasing the grip it has on your future. This might mean writing a letter you'll never send, just to get the pain out of your body. It might mean deleting an app, unfollowing someone, having one final hard conversation. It might mean speaking a truth you've swallowed for too long. It might mean stepping away from something that once mattered deeply to you, but doesn't anymore. Letting go will feel uncomfortable at first. There's a kind of grief that comes with it, even if what you're letting go of was never good for you. That's normal. That's part of the process. Give yourself permission to feel it, then let it pass. Because on the other side of that grief is lightness. And lightness is what makes transformation possible. Imagine stepping into the new year free from the thing that's been quietly dragging behind you for years. Imagine the space you'll create for peace, for new energy, for clarity, for purpose. You don't have to carry everything. You never did. So ask yourself one final question. What will I choose to leave behind this year so I can finally move forward? And then let it go. Not perfectly, not all at once, but intentionally and completely. Chapter 6. Clarify what you actually want. Before 2026 begins, you need to answer a deceptively simple question. What do you actually want? Not what sounds impressive, not what other people expect, not what looks good on paper. What do you, in the quiet of your own mind and heart, genuinely want out of your life? If that question feels hard to answer, you're not alone. In a world obsessed with noise, achievement, and endless comparison, many people have lost touch with their own desires. We confuse what we've been conditioned to chase with what truly matters to us. And we wonder why, even when we're checking boxes, we still feel unfulfilled. Here's the truth. You can't hit a target you haven't defined. Worse, you might spend years chasing someone else's definition of success, only to reach it and realize it was never yours. So before 2026 starts, it's time to stop guessing, stop copying, stop settling for vague ideas like be better, do more, or get ahead. It's time to define your vision with clarity. Let's begin by slowing down and going inward. Find a quiet space. Sit with this question. Don't rush it. Don't answer it like a job interview. This isn't for the world. This is for you. What do I actually want my life to look like in 2026? Let's go deeper. Start with the big categories of your life. 1. Health. O. What kind of energy do you want to feel when you wake up? O. What kind of relationship do you want with your body? O. Do you want to feel strong, flexible, nourished, rested? 2. Work. Purpose. O. What kind of work makes you feel alive? O. Do you want more freedom, more structure, more impact? O. Are you creating something that matters to you or just surviving? 3. Money, finances. O. How much do you want to earn and why? O. What kind of lifestyle do you want to sustain? O. What does financial peace look like to you? 4. Relationships. O. What kind of people do you want around you in 2026? O. How do you want to show up in love, in friendship, in family? O. What kind of support system do you want to build or protect? 5. Mental, emotional life. O. How do you want to feel on most days? O. What kind of inner dialogue do you want to live with? O. What beliefs or emotional patterns do you want to leave behind? 6. Lifestyle, freedom. O. How do you want to spend your average day? O. Where do you want to live? What do your mornings feel like? Your evenings? O. What kind of life rhythm are you craving? Now, go beyond bullet points. Write your vision in narrative form. Not just, I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money. Instead, I wake up feeling rested and strong. I move my body every morning. I fuel myself with food that energizes me. My work challenges me in all the right ways. I'm building something meaningful, and I'm finally paid what I'm worth. Describe it vividly, as if it's already real. This exercise isn't about magic or manifestation. It's about direction. Clarity creates direction. Direction fuels action, and repeated action shapes reality. Now ask yourself the next important question. Why do I want this? Because clarity without alignment is dangerous. You could chase a clear goal for the wrong reason and still end up lost. So go deeper. If your goal is to earn 6 figures, why? What would that give you? Freedom, stability, significance. If your goal is to get in the best shape of your life, why? Is it confidence, longevity, control? When your what is clear and your why is rooted in truth, your life starts to align in ways that feel less like pressure and more like purpose. Now, let's address another common trap: trying to want everything. The modern world will convince you to pursue 100 goals at once. Grow a business, write a book, get abs, meditate, travel, be a perfect parent, invest in crypto, learn a language, run a marathon, and post about it all on Instagram. But clarity requires prioritization. You can have anything but not everything all at once. So pick your top 3, the 3 outcomes that, if they came true in 2026, would make you feel deeply fulfilled, maybe even unrecognizable in the best way. Ask yourself, what are the 3 outcomes I'm willing to build my year around? What would I need to do consistently to make them real? What will I have to sacrifice to pursue them? Because clarity isn't just about what you want to do, it's also about what you're willing to not do. Here's the final piece. Share your vision with yourself often. Don't write it and forget it. Reread it weekly. Let it recalibrate your decisions. Let it remind you of who you're becoming. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or time. They fail because they lack clarity. They live in reaction instead of creation. They chase noise instead of purpose. Let that not be you this year. So before 2026 starts, get clear, not on everything, but on what matters most. Because if you don't decide what you want, someone else will decide for you. And you'll find yourself busy but not fulfilled, achieving but not aligned. Clarity is power, and right now, that power is yours to claim. Chapter 7. Set non-negotiables for the new year. There's a difference between having goals and having standards. Goals are what you hope to achieve. Standards are what you refuse to compromise. Goals live in the future. Standards shape your present. If clarity gives you direction, then standards give you structure. They become the invisible guardrails that keep your life aligned even when things get hard, messy, or uncertain. And trust me, things will get messy. That's why we don't just need vision, we need rules of engagement. Before 2026 begins, you must define what is non-negotiable in your life. Not in theory, not just in moments when you're feeling inspired, but in practice, every day, every week, across every area of your life. Let's break it down. Start by asking yourself, what will I no longer tolerate from myself, from others, and from my environment? Too often, we set ambitious goals while tolerating behaviors that directly contradict them. We want clarity but live in chaos. We want health but treat our bodies like afterthoughts. We want respect but accept disrespect. We want discipline but continue living by impulse. That disconnect is why we struggle, not because we don't know what to do, but because we haven't set the minimum standards we're committed to upholding, even when motivation fades. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. So let's make them clear. Think about the non-negotiables in these areas of your life. 1. Your body and health. What are you no longer willing to ignore? Are you done skipping sleep, eating on autopilot, living in fatigue? Maybe your non-negotiables look like, oh, I move my body every day, no matter how small the effort. Oh, I drink water before coffee. Oh, I eat meals that support my energy, not sabotage it. O. I don't skip rest in the name of productivity. Your body is the vehicle for everything else in your life. If you neglect it, you pay interest on that debt later. 2. Your mind and emotions. What are your boundaries with stress, distraction, anxiety? Do you let your mind spiral all day, or do you pause and check in? Do you consume more noise than you can process? Some non-negotiables here might be, oh, I don't begin or end the day with my phone. Oh, I journal or reflect weekly, no matter what's going on. Oh, I allow myself to feel, but I don't let emotions dictate every decision. You don't need perfect peace every day, but you do need mental discipline, and that starts with creating consistent inner space. 3. Your work and time. How do you want to show up in your work or creative life? What do you waste time on? What patterns do you fall into? Are you letting your calendar run you, or are you running it? Your non-negotiables might sound like, I don't check email before noon. I do 90 minutes of focused work each morning before meetings. I don't take on work that depletes me even if it pays. Time is your most precious resource. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. 4. Your relationships and boundaries. Who gets access to your energy, and on what terms? Do you allow people to overstep, to distract, to drain you? Are your values being respected by those you spend time with? Relationship non-negotiables might include, I don't explain my boundaries more than once. I only engage with people who respect my growth. I don't tolerate passive aggression, manipulation, or gossip. Boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They protect your peace and preserve your progress. 5. Your identity and integrity. This one goes deeper. Who are you becoming? What kind of person do you refuse to stop being, no matter what success or struggle you face? Some examples. I don't lie to myself. I name things honestly even when it's hard. I don't act small to make other people comfortable. I don't betray my values to fit in, get ahead, or avoid conflict. This is about alignment. Because no amount of external success will feel right if you're constantly betraying your inner truth. Now, here's the challenge. Don't just write these non-negotiables down. Live by them every day. Print them, post them, speak them. Let them anchor your choices when you're tired, triggered, or tempted to drift. These standards are not about perfection. You'll fall short some days. That's okay. What matters is that you remember you've drawn a line, you've raised the floor. You've made a commitment to a higher version of yourself. And here's the magic of setting non-negotiables. They take the pressure off your willpower. When something becomes non-negotiable, you don't have to debate with yourself every day. You don't have to rely on how you feel in the moment. You've already decided. That's what powerful people do. They decide in advance who they're going to be. Then they align their lives around that decision. So decide. Before 2026 begins, decide what's no longer up for debate in your life. Draw your line in the sand, and then build your year from that place of strength. Not from impulse, not from pressure, from principle. Let 2026 be the year you rise not just because of what you reach for, but because of what you now refuse to compromise. Chapter 8. Build a simple daily system. The future you want doesn't live in some distant someday. It lives in your daily decisions. And yet, this is where most people get stuck. They have the vision. They've written the goals. They feel inspired. But when the adrenaline wears off and the noise dies down, they fall right back into the same patterns, same habits, same distractions, same fatigue. Why? Because they haven't built a system. Here's a hard truth. Motivation will not carry you through 2026. Discipline might, but only if it's paired with structure. And structure doesn't mean complexity, it means clarity, simplicity, and rhythm. What you need before the new year begins isn't just a to-do list. You need a system, a daily rhythm that supports your goals and anchors your energy. Something simple, something realistic, something that reduces friction and builds momentum. Let's get into how to do that. Step 1. Define what matters most, daily. First, ask yourself, what are the few things, just 2 or 3, that if done every single day would move my life forward the most? Not 10, not even 5, just the essentials. These could be 30 minutes of movement, 1 hour of deep work before checking your phone, 10 minutes of journaling or reflection, reading or learning something that expands your mind, preparing meals instead of grabbing whatever's closest, a morning routine that centers you before the chaos begins, checking in with your finances for 5 minutes a day. The most powerful systems are ridiculously simple. The goal is to build consistency, not complexity. Step 2. Create a morning anchor. How you start your day matters. It sets the psychological tone for everything that follows. If the first thing you do is consume noise, email, social media, news, you start the day reacting. You're already behind, already overstimulated, already scattered. But if you start your day with intention, you take back control. You set the tone instead of absorbing it. A strong morning system doesn't need to be long. You don't need 2 hours of journaling, yoga, green juice, and cold plunges. You need something that grounds you. It could be: wake up, stretch, drink water, 10 deep breaths. Read 1 page of something that fuels you. Review your 3 priorities for the day. Write a single sentence about how you want to show up. Even 5 minutes of quiet, conscious intention can shift your entire day. Step 3. Use time blocks, not endless to-do lists. Most people overwhelm themselves with giant lists they never complete. They feel productive, making theme and then guilty for ignoring them. What works better? Time blocking. Give your day shape. Allocate chunks of time to specific types of work or energy. Example: 7:08:0 a.m. morning anchor. 9:11:0 a.m. deep work, no distractions. 12:0:12:30 p.m. movement or walk. 1:0:30 p.m. meetings or admin. 6:0:70 p.m. wind down. 8:0 p.m. onward, rest. No screens, read, journal. Your calendar is your blueprint. If you don't give your time a purpose, other people will fill it with theirs. Step 4. Build a shutdown routine. This one's underrated but powerful. Most people slide into sleep with no boundary between on and off. They stare at screens until their eyes blur, then wonder why their mind won't rest. A shutdown routine helps your body and brain disconnect. Try this. Close your laptop at a set time, even if the work isn't finished. Write down tomorrow's priorities so you don't carry them into bed. Dim the lights. Turn off notifications. Do something analog. Read, stretch, reflect. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? Protect your nights the way you protect your mornings. Your future depends on how you recover, not just how you grind. Step 5. Track, don't judge. Now that you've built a simple daily system, track it. But don't obsess over perfection. Use a journal, a habit tracker, a calendar, whatever works for you. The purpose isn't punishment, it's awareness. Are you following through? Where do you drift? What helps you stay on track? This builds feedback into your life so you're not guessing, you're learning. Over time, the system can evolve with you. Step 6. Make it sustainable, not impressive. Your system should support your life, not suffocate it. If it's too complicated, you'll abandon it. If it's too strict, you'll rebel against it. Start small, make it easy to win. Remember, you're not designing the perfect day. You're designing a repeatable rhythm that works more often than it doesn't. The question isn't, can I do this on my best day? The question is, can I do this even on my average day? Because success isn't built in bursts, it's built in boring consistency. So before 2026 arrives, build your system. Not to be busier, but to be better aligned. Not to hustle harder, but to remove guesswork from your day. Not to impress anyone, but to honor what matters most to you. Your system is your safety net. It protects your energy. It defends your focus. And when life gets chaotic, as it always does, your system is what brings you back. This isn't about doing more. This is about doing what matters every single day, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is watching, even when the results aren't instant. That's how change happens. That's how 2026 is built. One day at a time, one decision at a time. One system that works on your worst days, not just your best. Chapter 9. Identify your growth pillars for 2026. Not all progress is created equal. Some goals feel good to chase, but leave you empty. Some projects look impressive, but spread you thin. And some forms of growth quiet, focused, strategic change your entire life from the inside out. That's what this chapter is about. Identifying the key areas of growth, your personal growth pillars that will make the biggest difference in 2026. Not just goals, not just habits, but core capabilities that, once strengthened, elevate everything else around them. Think of it this way. If your life is a structure, your growth pillars are the beams holding it up. Strengthen them, and the whole house rises. Neglect them, and no matter how beautifully you decorate, things eventually collapse. So how do you identify your growth pillars? You start by asking the right question. What, if I improved it consistently over the next 12 months, would change everything else in my life? Let's go through some common examples. You may find on your several that apply to you. 1. Health. Energy. Your energy is the foundation for everything else. Your work, your presence, your mood, your confidence. If you're constantly tired, burned out, or inflamed, no amount of motivation will carry you through the year. Ask yourself, am I building a body that supports the life I want? Do I have energy left for myself at the end of the day, only enough to survive? If this is a growth pillar, your focus might include consistent movement, whole food eating habits, sleep hygiene, hydration, stress regulation practices. You don't need to be extreme, you need to be consistent. A body that works for you, not against you, is a competitive advantage in every area of life. 2. Emotional mastery. We live in our minds. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. If your emotional world is chaotic, no external achievement will ever bring peace. Ask yourself, do I overreact or avoid hard emotions? Do I self-regulate when stressed or self-sabotage? Can I hold discomfort or do I seek instant escape? If this is your growth pillar, the work might look like developing emotional awareness and vocabulary, practicing mindfulness or meditation, learning to respond, not react, journaling with intention, building resilience through discomfort. This is the kind of growth that doesn't show up on social media but transforms your experience of everything else. 3. Financial intelligence. Money doesn't buy happiness, but ignorance about money creates a lot of stress. Many people live trapped in cycles of financial anxiety, not because they don't earn enough, but because they never learned how to manage, multiply, or respect what they have. Ask yourself, do I know where my money goes? Am I building toward financial peace or always behind? Do I understand the basics of wealth building? If this is your pillar, you might focus on budgeting and cash flow awareness, reducing debt, building an emergency fund, investing in your financial literacy, setting income and savings goals that match your lifestyle vision. When your finances are aligned, your life feels less reactive, more free, and that freedom creates space for deeper focus elsewhere. 4. Focus, discipline. The most successful people aren't the most talented. They're the most focused. They know how to stay on course when things get boring or hard. If you're constantly distracted, pulled in a dozen directions, or unable to follow through, this is your growth pillar. Ask yourself, can I follow through on what I say I'll do? Am I consistent with my daily system or chaotic? Am I protecting my focus or leaking it daily? Work here might include building habits through structure and automation, using time blocks and deep work windows, learning how to say no to what doesn't serve you, reducing digital distractions, tracking and reviewing your actions weekly. Discipline is freedom, and focus isn't a trait, it's a skill you can build. 5. Communication, leadership. Whether you lead a team, a business, or just your own life, communication is the lever that moves everything forward. If you can't express yourself clearly, set boundaries, negotiate, persuade, or inspire, your impact will always be limited. Ask yourself, do people understand what I really mean? Do I speak with clarity or hide behind vague language and silence? Am I avoiding hard conversations that could change everything? Growth here might mean studying interpersonal communication and public speaking, practicing difficult conversations, learning to give and receive feedback, understanding emotional intelligence in leadership, becoming more assertive and direct with kindness. When your words match your intentions, your relationships and opportunities shift. 6. Creativity, self-expression. Not every growth pillar needs to be about systems and strategy. For some, the greatest breakthrough in 2026 will come from reconnecting with creative flow, reclaiming joy, making something that didn't exist before. Ask yourself, where have I silenced my voice or expression? What creative spark have I buried under being busy? What part of me is begging to be seen, heard, or shared? This might include writing, painting, or content creation, launching a business or side project, learning a new skill or art form, making time for play and experimentation. Creativity is medicine. And sometimes, growth isn't about becoming better, it's about becoming whole again. Choose your top 2-3 growth pillars. Don't try to work on everything. That only leads to burnout and scattered focus. Instead, pick the 2 or 3 growth areas that, if developed deeply in 2026, would create a ripple effect across the rest of your life. These are your pillars, your foundation, your focus. Write them down. Define what growth looks like in each one. Decide how you'll measure progress, not in perfection, but in effort. Check in every 30 days. Adjust if needed. Keep building, because the truth is, you don't need 100 goals next year. You need to grow in a few key places and let the compound effect do the rest. Your future isn't built by doing more. It's built by going deeper into what truly matters. And that depth begins the moment you choose your pillars and commit to building them brick by brick. It's built by going deeper into what truly matters. And that depth begins the moment you choose your pillars and commit to building them brick by brick. But here's what you need to understand. Depth isn't flashy, it's not loud. You don't always get applause for it. In fact, depth often looks like repetition, like practice, like small, almost invisible improvements that nobody notices except you. It looks like choosing the gym over the couch when no one's watching. Like waking up an hour earlier for that reading habit you said you'd build. Like saying no to things that steal your focus, even when they're tempting. Like showing up to your craft every day, even when you're tired, bored, or uninspired. This is the real work of growth. Not just setting the target, but showing up every day, even when it's inconvenient. Especially when it's inconvenient. And the reason this matters so much is because most people quit, not because their dreams were too big, but because their foundation was too shallow. They wanted the breakthrough without the repetition, the transformation without the routine, the result without the rhythm. But mastery, momentum, and meaning, all of it, lives on the other side of doing the basics with intention. So, let's get practical. Once you've identified your top 2-3 growth pillars, do this. 1. Define what consistent action looks like. Don't leave this vague. Turn improve finances into I track every dollar I spend for 10 minutes each night. Turn get in shape into I walk 30 minutes every morning, 5 days a week. Turn become more focused into I turn off all notifications and work in 90-minute deep focus blocks before noon. Be specific and measurable. The brain needs clarity. Without it, all you have is a good idea that fades by February. 2. Choose a keystone habit for each pillar. A keystone habit is a small daily or weekly behavior that creates a ripple effect in your life. It's not always dramatic, but it changes how you think and behave across the board. For example, for health, a keystone habit might be prepping meals every Sunday night. For emotional mastery, it could be journaling your emotional state before bed. For discipline, it might be reviewing your top 3 tasks every morning before you check your phone. The point is, one small commitment can create a chain reaction. Choose wisely. 3. Schedule weekly check-ins. You can't improve what you don't review. Every week, block out 20 minutes to check in. Did I take action on my growth pillars? What worked? What didn't? What patterns do I see? What will I adjust this week? These weekly reviews are like steering the wheel of a car. You don't need to overhaul everything, just course correct slightly and often. That's how you stay on track all year, instead of getting lost and starting over every few months. 4. Decide in advance who you'll be when it gets hard. Because it will get hard. There will be weeks when you don't want to show up. When life gets heavy, when results are slow, when you're tempted to drop everything and revert to what's easy and familiar. So decide now. What identity will I return to when my motivation fades? Will you be the person who follows through heaven when the mood is gone? Will you remind yourself why you started? Will you lean on your structure instead of relying on how you feel? Let this chapter be more than a list of intentions. Let it be a contract with yourself. You've chosen what matters. You've clarified what growth looks like. Now it's time to build daily, imperfectly, patiently. Growth isn't about speed. It's about direction, consistency, and courage. So choose your pillars, write them down, return to them often. And let this be the year you go, deep not wide, real not performative, steady not scattered. Because when you build on solid ground, the rest of your life rises with it. Brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. That's how transformation happens. And you're already on the way. Chapter 10. Choose how you want to feel on January honest. Most people stumble into the new year without intention. They slide through the final days of December, caught in a haze of distraction, overeating, overcommitting, overspending. They treat the last week of the year like a time to zone out, not zoom in. They tell themselves they'll reset on Monday, on January honest, after the holidays, as if change lives on a calendar. But January honest isn't magical. It doesn't care what your resolutions are. It doesn't reward last-minute goals or empty promises. It simply reflects who you were in the final days that came before it. That's why this chapter exists. Because before the year ends, you need to ask yourself one powerful personal question. How do I want to feel on January honest? Not what you want to do, not what you want to achieve, but how you want to feel physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Peaceful, energized, proud, clear, grounded, grateful, focused. This question matters more than most people realize, because how you begin a year emotionally sets the tone for everything that follows. The first morning of a new year doesn't just mark a new date, it marks a new rhythm. So pause right now and visualize it. Close your eyes and picture yourself waking up on the morning of January honest. Where are you? What's around you? What's the first thing you do? What's the tone of your mind? Calm or chaotic? What's in your heart? Clarity or confusion? Do you feel like you're starting fresher, simply carrying the same old weight into another year? Now ask, what would need to happen in the final days of this year for that feeling to be real? This isn't about pressure, it's about presence. You don't need to have your whole life figured out by the time the ball drops. But you do need to be awake in the final days of the year. You need to take back this sacred space, this small window of time that so many waste. Because the final days of the year are a bridge. 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future. And what you carry across that bridge will shape what you build next. So choose wisely. Maybe that means having one important conversation you've been avoiding, so you don't bring resentment into the new year. Maybe it means completing a few final tasks that will give you peace of mind and clean closure. Maybe it means saying no to one more event, one more dinner, one more "sure, I'll be there," and instead spending time in solitude, reconnecting with yourself. Maybe it means staying in on New Year's Eve, not because you're antisocial, but because you want to wake up clear, not groggy, proud, not regretful. Maybe it means journaling under a blanket with your favorite music, or walking outside and letting the cold air reset your nervous system, or writing a letter to the version of yourself who made it through this year flawed, but still standing. You get to choose what this ending feels like. You get to write the emotional signature on the final page of this chapter. And no, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to enter 2026 on fire with a perfectly optimized morning routine, a color-coded life plan, and abs. You just have to enter it awake, present, aligned, self-honest, willing to begin again, not because it's a trend, but because you're worth the effort. So ask yourself again, slowly this time, how do I want to feel on January honest? And then act accordingly. Treat every hour between now and that morning as part of your preparation. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but because this is your life. And the way you end this year will echo into the one you're about to begin. Wake up to that. Honor it. Shape it. Let your first breath of 2026 be filled with alignment, not apology. Let it be an arrival, not an escape. And let it remind you, the new year doesn't change you. You change you. So ask yourself again, slowly this time, how do I want to feel on January honest? Let that question sit in your body, not just your mind. And don't answer it with what you think you should want. Don't give yourself a polished answer. Give yourself a true one. Maybe you want to feel rested. Maybe you want to feel proud of the work you've done, the person you've become, the choices you've finally made. Maybe you want to feel lighter not just in body, but in spirit. Maybe you want to feel free from guilt, clutter, expectations, pressure, fear. Maybe you just want to feel yourself again. Not the tired, distracted version you've had to perform as all year, but the real you. The one buried under the noise. And once you name that feeling, let it guide your next steps. Not from hustle, not from panic, from intentional alignment. Because there's a subtle trap at the end of every year. The idea that change will begin once the fireworks go off, once the calendar flips, once January arrives, and everything magically resets. But let's be real. If you wake up on January honest and everything feels the same, your headspace, your environment, it's not because you're broken, it's because you waited instead of preparing. You don't get a new life on New Year's Day. You get a new moment. And what you bring into that moment is what determines the direction of your year. So instead of waiting for the clock to rescue you, build a runway. Start now. Start in the smallest of ways. Clean your space, not for aesthetics, but to signal that you're stepping into something new. Spend the final week of the year in active reflection. Journal what worked, release what didn't. Write a letter to your future self and read it out loud on the last night of the year. Choose a ritual for New Year's morning that has nothing to do with champagne or resolutions and everything to do with intentionality. Maybe you wake up and walk in silence. Maybe you sit down and set 3 core intentions, not goals, but ways of being. Maybe you spend the first day of the year with no screen time, just breathing, reading, stretching, planning, and grounding. Whatever you do, make it yours. Design your entry into 2026. Like it matters because it does. How you begin something often shapes how you continue it. Not because one day defines everything, but because energy builds. And when you enter a season with purpose, that energy stays with you even through the dips, even when things get hard. So protect that first morning. Honor it. Make it sacred. Even if the rest of the world is sleeping in, hungover, or already overwhelmed, you don't have to be. Let January honest be the evidence that you've been preparing, that you've been doing the internal work, that you've chosen yourself, one clear decision at a time. Let it be a doorway, not a dramatic gesture, not a fake restart, but a real beginning, an honest step into the next chapter. And remember, you don't need to feel 100% ready. You probably won't. You just need to be willing to do the work, willing to protect your peace, willing to move forward intentionally, imperfectly, fully awake. Here's your final journal prompt for this chapter, and maybe the most important one of the book. What do I need to do in the final days of this year to become the person I want to be on January honest? Make a list, make a choice, and then act. Because the version of you you're becoming is already within reach. She or he or they aren't waiting in January. They're waiting right now, in this moment, in these final days. So walk toward them. You've made it this fardent coast now. Finish the year on purpose, begin the next one in power. You've been through an entire year, 365 days of showing up, surviving, stumbling, and learning. Maybe parts of it broke you open. Maybe other parts quietly rebuilt you. Maybe you didn't meet every goal you set. Maybe you changed your goals altogether. Maybe you're ending this year in a very different place than you expected to be. That's okay. That's real. But now, as the final hours approach, there's something sacred in the air, a quiet invitation. It's not shouting, it's whispering. It's asking, who do you want to be when the world turns the page? What version of you do you want to meet on January honest? Not just what do you want to accomplish, but who are you becoming? Most people don't ask that. They rush through the holidays, cling to distraction, or collapse into the couch. They survive December, then try to reinvent themselves in January using the same mindset that kept them stuck. But you're here. You're not just flipping a calendar, you're crossing a threshold. And the way you cross it will shape how you live on the other side. So take this seriously. Treat the final week of the year like a sacred space, a creative retreat, a spiritual gym, a mental renovation. This is your chance to tie up the emotional, physical, and energetic threads of the year so you don't drag them into 2026 still tangled, still unresolved, still heavy. Let go of the idea that transformation needs to be dramatic. It doesn't. It starts in stillness, in quiet, honest moments where you ask, what needs closure? What needs to be forgiven? What deserves one last act of courage before the year ends? Because sometimes the most powerful reset isn't a massive change, it's a small, conscious decision made from clarity. To turn off your phone and be present with your own thoughts. To clean out a drawer, a folder, or a belief you've outgrown. To send a message that closes a loop. To look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of you, not for being perfect, but for still being here, still trying, still growing. You may not be where you thought you'd be at this point in the year, but that doesn't disqualify you from the future you still want to create. It just means you're human, and it means you get to choose a right now how this year ends. Because this isn't about creating a perfect January. It's about crossing into the new year with alignment, with your mind clear, your energy grounded, and your heart open. Let others treat the new year like a party. You get to treat it like a rebirth. And that begins not at midnight, but now. In your final few days of 2025, ask yourself, what loose ends can I tie up? What clutter, mental or physical, can I clear? What can I create, finish, or decide that will allow me to enter the new year with pride instead of pressure? These aren't chores, these are rituals. This is how you reclaim the power you've given away all year through avoidance, exhaustion, noise, or fear. Because every time you pause and take inventory, every time you slow down enough to feel what's real, you step out of autopilot and back into authorship. You remember that the year doesn't end you. You end the year. You decide how it concludes. You decide what gets left behind and what gets carried forward. So choose your closing notes carefully. Choose your rituals with intention. Choose how you want to feel, not just on January honest, but in the weeks and months that follow. Because if you can start the year with integrity, presence, and self-respect, you'll need far fewer resolutions. Why? Because you'll already be living in alignment. You'll be in motion not because the calendar told you to be, but because your inner life demanded it. And that is the real beginning. Not the hype, not the planner, not the goal-setting workshop, but the version of you who knows who you are and acts from that place every single day. So start now. Step gently. Step intentionally. Step toward the person who's been waiting for you at the start of every new year, the one who believes in you, even when you forget. They are not in the distance. They are right here. Just one final decision away. Closing chapter. You're not waiting on 2026. It's waiting on you. You've reached the end of this book. But more importantly, you're standing at the edge of something else. The beginning of a year that hasn't been written yet. Not in the form of goals. Not in plans or habits or calendars, but in you. The truth is, 2026 is not some distant event waiting to happen. It's not an external force arriving to save you, change you, or push you forward. It's waiting on you. It's waiting for you to decide who you're going to belong before the clock strikes midnight. It's waiting for you to reclaim your time, reset your energy, take inventory of your truth, and walk in with your eyes wide open. You've done the work. You've reflected. You've reviewed. You've faced what needed to be finished. You've set boundaries. You've clarified your direction. You've chosen what matters most. You've committed to pillars that will carry you forward, not just for a week, but for a year, and possibly a lifetime. Now you face the most powerful question of all. Will you carry this work forward? Because the real difference between those who change their lives and those who keep repeating old patterns isn't talent or tools or even time. It's follow-through. It's doing the unsexy, invisible work over and over when no one is watching, when motivation disappears, when you feel like nothing is changing. That's where transformation happens. Not in the fresh start, in the follow-through. So as you move into 2026, remember this. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fix everything overnight. You don't have to carry the weight of your entire life all at once. You just have to walk in awake, clear about who you are, clear about who you're not, clear about where you're going and what you're leaving behind. Because nothing will change unless you change. Not the job, not the relationship, not the year. You are the common denominator. And that's not pressure, it's power. It means you don't need to wait for conditions to be perfect. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to wait for a better schedule, more motivation, or anyone's permission. 2026 is not a rescue mission. It's a blank page. It's a mirror. It's a reflection of the habits, decisions, and standards you choose starting now. So go forward, not in panic, not in perfection, but in presence. Carry this work with you. Let it live in your mornings, your routines, your quiet decisions. Let it shape your posture, your discipline, your relationships, your voice. And if you fall off track, which you will at some point, come back. Quickly, gently, without shame. Because the ones who change their lives aren't the ones who never fall, they're the ones who know how to return. You don't need a fresh start. You need a commitment. And you've already made it. You've chosen to reflect instead of rush. You've chosen awareness over avoidance. You've chosen preparation over performance. You've chosen to begin 2026, not just with new goals, but with a new level of self-respect. And that's everything. So here's to you, to your clarity, to your momentum, to your honest work, to the year ahead and the version of you that's finally ready to meet it. This time, you're not waiting on the future. This time, the future is waiting on you. Go meet it.